Morning, everybody. It's the 9th of July. We are Signal Centre Talking Ball. I'm Joe Neighbour, joined by Steve O'Hare on this wonderful Friday morning. How you doing, Steve?
The Friday before everything explodes and the
Before
weekend.
it
The
comes home
weekend.
for the weekend.
Well, yeah, as pointed out by Casper Schmeichel,
Yeah,
it
it's never
can't
been home.
come home because it's never been home. So,
Yes.
good point.
Yeah.
But it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening again. It's
So you need to rid
final
your
fever.
house of pizzas, pastas, Peroni.
Yeah. Oh, what about Moretti? Can we do Moretti?
No.
No, shit. Um, but Italians do the best beer. So I know, apart from San Miguel, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Or
But
Carlsberg.
Spanish didn't do us
Carlsberg.
any favour, did they? No.
Yeah. So Carlsberg, did anyone stop drinking Carlsberg? Because that's from Denmark, isn't it?
I think
It's
you've got to you've got to do that, haven't you? That's sort of a minimum expectation.
yeah. And that's probably the best lager in the world.
Probably. If Carlsberg did finals on a Sunday night,
Yeah. Why
it'd
isn't that
probably be
advert
the
out
best
there?
finals in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be. It's going to be exciting time. Exciting, nervous, painful, joyous. I think we're going to have all go through. Hopefully, we'll go through all of the emotions,
It'll be a range of
ending
emotions, that's for sure.
ending with the happiest one.
Yes, let's hope so. Okay, so let's get stuck into the final outing of the week for Talking Ball and what's going on. First up, a basket of retail favourites, meme stocks, are closing in on a bear market plunge, down over 20% from their highs. So it appears that finally that has run its course and investors are beginning to shun some of the most speculative names in favour of some safer bets. So a group of so-called meme stocks have been pressured over the past month by losses such as GameStop, Nokia, Robinhood, AMC, etc. So yeah, interesting. That's come and gone, and hopefully there aren't too many singed fingers around on those stocks. But I'm sure there
Yeah,
probably is.
I'm sure there is.
Broader markets had a bit of a down day yesterday. European stocks dropping the most in about 2 months as investors shifted out of this year's winners of the reopening trade. So, people have been piling into stocks that are set to bounce as a result of economies reopening and now look to be heading to sort of safer havens. We've seen a bump up in some of the prices of bonds as well, while yields have slipped. In terms of Brexit, yes, that's still going on. European Union reckons that the UK owes it 47.5 billion euros as part of the Brexit settlement, which is a much higher figure than had been originally estimated. Not going to go into how they've come up with that number because it just sounds mad, but we'll see what happens with that and whether or not any tensions increase because of it. More concerning signs with regards to the US and China relations. The Biden administration will add at least 10 Chinese entities to its economic blacklist as early as today over alleged human rights abuses and high-tech surveillance. So that's not particularly good. It doesn't seem as though Mr. Biden is making too many friends at the minute. He's obviously got ongoing wranglings with Vlad and his crew in Russia as well. So, fair play for standing up to, what he sees as being wrongdoing to things like human rights and cyber attacks, etc. But hopefully it doesn't get any fiercer than just an exchange of words. Okay, that's pretty much it on the news front. Let's get stuck into some charts, shall we? Steve-O, what do you want
Yeah.
to lead with today?
Well, I'm going to look at just the daily chart, just to sort of show what we're looking at on a daily basis in the indices. Saying that, I might jump to another time frame if it needs be. So, what we've got in FTSE, we've got this upward trending support line. It's an ending wedge formation, and we can see that momentum has been moving lower all the way down here. Prices have been moving higher. So that's bearish divergence. Now, what we've got, this is the quite solid trend line. This had 4 points, 5, 6, 7. Obviously, it pierced it, but it never closed below it until the 18th of June. And we saw a shooting star candle followed by a bit of a doji, a bit of indecision, and then plummeting. Now, price action has recovered from there, but has failed to really get above 71.70 on a number of occasions. And again, yesterday, it's a pretty ominous looking negative candle. So we've got the support from horizontal support and the Ichimoku cloud, but it's just a little bit of a forewarning. You know, I'm a little bit of I'm a stock indice bear most times, and I think there's good opportunities within this. Although we've had this massive uptrend, there's still opportunities to make money getting short of these indices. So for me, this is definitely one to watch. I think we're starting to play out. It does feel like it's running out of steam, but it's felt like that for a while. So I won't get carried away with it. That's just what I'm seeing. So really today, a break of 69.82 or resistance at 71.69. I can't see it really breaking out of that range today. Over the weekend, be careful. We've got the same sort of formation in DAX daily chart. I've drawn another potential trend line. Well, I mean, you could say it's a trend line because it's got these 2 points connecting it here and then a point connecting it here. So that is 3 points. So it is an official trend line, but I would class this as one touch point. So still potential, but let's see if it plays out. The better one that we've broken through in the same way that FTSE has. And again, look at that bearish outside candle, pretty negative looking, but we've had a real nice pullback overnight. And again, we're coming up to the end of the week. Not many people would want to hold positions over the weekend. But if I were to hold a position over the weekend, I would be maybe short of this. The stop on something like this, or a sign maybe where this has run out, would be a break above this downward trend resistance, which was yesterday's high. Really, if we manage to sort of break above 15,725, then the downward bet is off. Dow Jones looks pretty interesting as well on the daily chart, and for me, still sort of building some sort of potential negative formation. We look at news sentiment as well, so we'll start to introduce that very soon into our Talking Bull discussions. It can really marry up quite nicely. If the news sentiment sometimes leads the way, you get an indication that news sentiment is turning negative, and then you get a sort of technical reversal. It sort of like puts two analyses together and looks really cool. But for me, this is showing signs of topping. A shooting star formation was classic here, and for me, it's a treble top. We've got the potential of. Really needs to break below 33,000 to confirm this treble top. So it's not a treble top until then, but it's potential treble top. NASDAQ is a bit of a different kettle of fish. It still seems to be outperforming, although we are getting this moving average convergence divergent crossover forming. A little bit of indecision a couple of days ago, and yesterday was a hanging man candle, and that's negative. That's a negative candle. Haven't really done a lot today. Had a little bit of a recovery from an early swing low, but the trend line really here is a solid trend line. Got 4 touch points on it. And again, we could class this as just 1 touch point, so say 3, but really a break of, I would say we'd need to see a break of this level here, 14,480 to confirm a correction, not of reversal, just a correction. Same sort of price action in S&Ps. We've got the all-time high 4362 on this chart, and that's a pretty ominous looking engulfing candle yesterday. So, and again, the MACD crossing over, still a little bit of a way to go before we find decent support here. So plenty of room for a correction. 4,266 would be the first level of support. Aussie 200, bit of the same. It's sideways trading. China 50, looking at my really serious level, 16,438. Hang Seng, again, it's broken down below this channel formation, and also it's below the 27,500, which for me is negative. If we get a weekly close below there, then I would be a bit concerned. Nikkei as well, it's bounced off the support coming in at 27,500. So that's another 27,500. Interesting. And really needs to close below there for me to be ultra bearish or negative. Commodities, oil. We saw a great move again. This was something we could talk about on the new sentiment side of things. We had a new sentiment bearish signal that came up, and we had a downward trending resistance line. It was actually on the Brent, and unfortunately I've moved away from the daily chart, which I didn't want to do. But we had this impulsive 5-wave move higher. We had this really long-term downward trending resistance line. We were talking about the potential for it to hit this trend line. It hit it on a weekly basis. It's forming a bearish outside candle. That's very negative for me and opens up the potential for a corrective move lower. The news sentiment signal posted that a sell signal a couple of days before we hit this high. So and it posted it when the market was trading at $76. So I think once we hit this downward trending resistance line and then reversed back to $76, for me that was the sell signal, because you've got two forms of sentiment, two forms of analysis saying sell. So that worked really well. So instead of on the technical side, you may have been getting in around about 74.50 when this reversal was confirmed on a sort of 4-hour chart. You could in fact got in at 76, the figure. So another $1.50 higher. It did get down to 71.75. So it's still a good move, but sometimes combining analysis is good. So this is I'm a bit sore with this one because I did go for a gun to head challenge yesterday, buying gold, which looked really on track to hit the target. It was only a 2-to-1 risk reward, but I had my target at 18.20. Sorry, is it 18? Yeah, 18.20. I think it got up to 18.18, and then it sort of like seemed to flush out, and it might. Here we go. This is it. I'm a bit sulky. I thought I was going to get it.
I don't blame you, mate. That is painful.
Yeah, but that's the way of the world. It just happens like that. And it came down, flushed it out. And but the interesting thing for me in gold, it held at 17.95. 17.90 is the stronger support as I see it. Actually not getting below 17.95 is also positive. And we've seen again in the last few hours, last hour we've seen a nice correction higher, trading around 18.05 again. So for me, it feels like gold has got potential for the upside. Is that going to be on the back of a indices sell-off? We'll wait and see. Little quick look at cryptos. I know Joe picked this as a gun to head challenge yesterday, and
do anything?
No, it's sort of like hung about, but it's hanging about these lows. So obviously this trades over the weekend, so it's not even a sort of like a case where you'll get people repositioning before the weekend. So yeah, it still feels under pressure for me, cryptos. Yeah, over to you, Joe.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at FX. So not really much to report yesterday, although there was a little bit of a sell-off in the dollar index. We did post this nasty looking red candle, but all in all, the momentum is still pretty good. So what I'm thinking for sort of closing off the week is that we may see a little bit of a reaction higher in some of the riskier currencies, maybe a little bit of taking profits if people have been short of those. They do look a little bit overdone in some instances, and I'll come on to some charts on that shortly. But just as an overall view, I still think there is some more to come from the dollar index. Still looking at that 93.02 level as a potential level to target. And more importantly, above that, we've got this 93.43 level, which is all important for me. Given how that sets things up on the weekly chart, and just to sort of show how that looks. So weekly chart, a bit of a doji candle, nothing really too innocuous or much to worry about, I don't think. Still think there is opportunities there to grind higher to this 93.43, and then if we break above that, we've completed this double bottom pattern and can be targeting much higher prices over the medium term. But in the very short term, and how this looks today, some interesting setups for me at the moment. Aussie dollar, I'm really not a fan of on the long side. I think it's completed a nice head and shoulders top on the daily chart. Yesterday we saw a breakthrough support at 74.44, which is a really negative sign for me. but we're bouncing back today, and we are testing the underside of this, what should be now resistance. So potentially an opportunity to use that to sell into today. So opportunities there. If I look actually at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, this is a slightly different case because this hasn't broke down as convincingly as the Aussie one has. And as you can see here, we've got this big line of support. Yes, we had a little bit of a poke below it there, but we got back above it pretty quickly. So this level that we've got is at 69.43. Yesterday we posted some bearishness, as you can see. There was an uptick in volume, but today we've sort of tested these swing lows that we posted on the 18th of June and posting a bit of a reversal candle, a bit of a hammer candle on the intraday chart there, bang in line with this support level. So purely from a speculative basis, maybe an end of week trade if people are looking to take some profits on this if they've been short, then there could be a little bit of a bounce on this one on a very intraday basis. So eyeing that up maybe as a gun to the head trade in a little while. Aussie yen, quite interesting. Broken down a big range here, as you can see. Big move to the downside yesterday. Bouncing back today, but looks like we're just going to retest that level at 81.97. So for me, on a technical perspective, that would be a good opportunity to sell into that. Yes, it could overshoot to these resistance levels up here, sort of the low there. That we posted on the 21st of June at 82.13, and an extension of that up to 82.32. So in and around this sort of bit of space here, I think a decent opportunity to sell, probably with a stop above the impulsive move to the downside yesterday, that candle there, and you hopefully should be quite safe. And then we'll be looking to target the measured move of this top or this range down to this kind of zone down here at 79.16. So just have a quick look at that from a risk reward perspective. If you're getting short in here, stop loss above the high of that candle there, which was the break lower, and then targeting a move down here. Looking at just shy of 5 to 1 on that one, and that's on a daily chart. So it will take a little bit longer to play out, but quite interesting, I think. Looks quite nice technically. What else have we got? So cable, let's have a look at that. Not really much going on there at all, to be honest. The last few days have been very flat indeed, and a bit choppy. So not really many opportunities presenting themselves at the moment on that, it would seem. Dollar CAD, that broke quite convincingly higher, and looks as though it's done it again yesterday. Another push to the upside, although closed well off of its highs. I'd be looking to buy dips on that one down to maybe 124.87 today for a test of this level up here at 26.47. Sorry about my squeaking pup in the background. I don't know what she's moaning about.
I thought that was your bike, mate.
No, I need some grease, yeah. Euro dollar, haven't really touched upon this. Quite interested in this still because it's testing this sort of neckline of this larger head and shoulders top pattern that I've got drawn on the daily chart. So very close to kind of make or break point on this. And I guess now that is the key level at 17.81. If that breaks, then we're looking initially for a move down to these swing lows here from the 31st of March. If that breaks, then we, pretty convincingly have completed that head and shoulders top, and we can start looking for lower prices down to here at 110.56. So interesting things happening again in FX. Just pick your markets as best you can. Look for where the volatility is and where the momentum is. Certainly not much going on things like cable at the minute, but if you look at some of the Aussies, the New Zealands, there are some interesting technical setups there.
Nice one, thanks, Joe.
Cool. So, gun to the head from yesterday. We've kind of given you both, given us both views on what happened. So, Bitcoin didn't do anything yesterday. Made 0.09R, 86 ticks on Bitcoin yesterday. Almost not worth doing it. And then gold, Steve came very close to hitting his target, but unfortunately, it reversed quite aggressively on an intraday basis and meant that he was stopped out. So, what are you fancying today, Steve? Anything?
I've had a look at a few. Crude oil. I feel it's got a potential to move higher. This is the sort of thing I'd play, maybe putting a stop below this last swing high, looking for a targeted move towards the 78.6 retracement. Gold, again, potential for the upside, I think, rather than the downside on that. Looking at indices, the DAX for me is maybe the one I'd fade. I mean, even the FTSE I'd fade as well at the moment. That's sort of like, seems to be, we've had a bit of an ABC correction, which has played out nicely. Maybe get short of DAX at these sort of levels. What is it trading now? 15,523. Yeah, I might go for this. I might go for DAX. It's let's get the levels up, which I'm showing. Getting short of 15,522, 23. Targeting a move to 15,381, and the stop is at 15,560. Gives a nice 3.5 to 1 risk reward.
Lovely. I can't make my mind up. So I just talked about this New Zealand dollar, US dollar setup, which is speculative because I think this is counter trend. This I think is a top. We've got a hammer candle forming today. Yes, we did see some big acceleration in the selling yesterday, as we can see on the volume as well. So that's probably not a great idea, but I can't take my eyes off it on an intraday basis either, because we've got this support down here, maybe formed a bit of a wedge there, and breaking up. So from a risk reward perspective, targeting a move back to these swing highs feels probably a bit ambitious today, looking for 2% odd. But then on the other side of this, I've got Aussie yen, which from a daily setup looks really good. We've completed a top. We're rallying back to test that today. We've got 3 resistance levels I've counted here in the blue lines that it needs to overcome in order to get stopped out on this. So there is a bit of protection there. But I think this probably wins out just because it looks nicer on the technical basis. So let's drill down into some shorter term charts and sell this today. So it's currently trading at 81.86. Going to go with the stop loss at 82.35. And what my target on the downside? Got to go some way back to try and find some supports over on the left hand side to target. Looks to be a couple of levels there. Eagle-eyed in there. There we go. Look at that. So we've got a resist.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, that'll do, won't it? There we go. 2.5 to 1. I think ultimately lower prices can be seen, but from an intraday perspective, I quite like that. So target 80.67 on that one today.
Okay, cool.
Okay, what's going to move markets today? Not a huge amount. We've had UK GDP out this morning. That showed a weaker performance for May at 0.8 versus the 1.5% expected. So quite a big miss actually on that front. Aside from that, it's mostly quiet. We do have the US earnings season beginning next week, so that will potentially provide some volatility and some interest to the US stocks. And it'd be interesting to see how some of these meme stocks shape up on the balance sheet front. Given how the mania has been around those over the last few months or so. 1:30, we've got Canadian employment. That's probably the highest impact number to keep an eye out for. 90,000 jobs expected to have been created from a loss of 68,000 in the previous month. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
Lovely. Nice one, Joe.
Cool. All right. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Hopefully you're all watching football on Sunday night. Come on, England.
Yeah.
And we may or may not be in on Monday, depending on how things go. Well, actually, either way, we could just not be here. Either drown sorrows and too hungover, or jubilant and not been to sleep yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully the latter.
Yes, let's hope so. All right. Have a good one,
Cheers.
Steve, and everybody else watching,
Yeah,
and we'll be back on Monday.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye. What are you doing?